Good morning, everyone. I am live on Instagram this morning. How are you doing? To the gram. I'm live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. And on Facebook, I'm live on my personal pages and my company's Facebook page and my company's training page. So, welcome. You know how we were raised. When you enter a room, say hello. If you're catching this by the replay, hashtag replay, I like to greet people. I like to acknowledge people when they stop by. So just say hello if you're stopping in so I can acknowledge that you were here. And welcome to this morning's edition of Morning Tidbits. So today we're just going to do a brief overview of the week and a little bit of announcements. So this week was a bit of a hodgepodge of a week, but it was up to talking about forming a strategic plan for the coming year. We are a week away from the start of the government's fiscal year, and we should have been creating a strategic plan. How are we tackling the next year? How are we going to go after these contracts? What are our goals for the coming year? What are our revenue goals? What are our staffing goals? What are our personal goals? These are some of the things we should have been formulating over the past weeks. What are our budgetary goals? How are we directing our monetary flow for the next year? These are the things we should have been looking at in preparation for the coming year. Now, most companies operate off of a calendar year, but for those companies who operate off of a fiscal year, we shouldn't wait until January to plan our year. I dare say we shouldn't wait until the fourth quarter, which is why I was talking about strategic planning in September, which gives you the fourth quarter of the year to implement the strategic plan for the next year. You have to set up your accounting system. Your budget should not be a static thing on a piece of paper sitting in your drawer. You should input it into your accounting system so it has time to integrate. Your accountant should be, or your accounting department should be integrating, uploading it into your system. You should now be running actuals. How is your budget for this year running compared to your actuals for the year so far? That way you can do some fourth quarter adjustments. How can you plan properly or know how to make fourth quarter plans if you don't know how if you don't know in relation to your budget or in relation to your plans for the year, how you're performing. These are some of the things that your strategic planning allows you to do. You have 3/4 of the year's worth of data that will allow you to plan, because you can extrapolate the fourth quarter based on 3/4 of your year, to plan for your full year next year. These are some of the things that we should be doing during this time of the year. And then once we make those plans, we outline them and we sit down with our team. A plan in your mind as the CEO, as the executive of your company, that you do not convey to your team. And so how are they supposed to get behind it if they don't know what it is? So it's very important to communicate that plan. So, how is your team getting behind your plan? That's a part of the strategic planning. So one of the things I'm going to do in 2023 is have a strategic planning workshop. I'm holding it in September, the first week of September. And we're going to go through these things. What does it comprise of? What should it look like? Developing the budget, communicating the budget. How do you bring your team into it? Building a team based upon your budget. You know, a lot of people talk about, I can't afford to hire a team. Well, if you sat down with your strategic plan and form that budget, if you add building a team into your budget, you can afford to hire a team because you budgeted your money for it. I used to give a talk when I first started my company. A budget is a way to direct your money through your company. If you don't tell your money where to go, it will just flow freely. Well, budget your money for team building. So as you budget your money, budget it to build a team. Set aside a part of 10%, 15% of your revenue for team building. Hire that VA. Set aside X number of dollars for hiring a VA, for hiring an accountant and a bookkeeper. As you grow, you should not be doing your own bookkeeping. You should not be doing your own accounting. You should not be doing your own billing. Especially as you gain more government contracts, you should not be doing your own billing. That's where errors and mistakes come in at. Now, can your biller make mistakes? Yes. Will it increase in likelihood if you're doing it all as a solo operation? Yes. This is where team building come in at. And for those who said, I can't afford it, that goes back to the topic I discussed yesterday. Have you built out your rates? If you built out your rates, then in your indirect rates, you can recover the cost for your indirect team, so you can afford to build your team. You can afford to build your staff. These are all the things, and I've said it time and time again. Respect the industry enough to know how the industry works. Everybody wants to write a winning proposal, but you don't want to know how the industry works so that you can recover the indirect costs, so that you can draft a winning cost proposal to go along with that winning proposal, which is something we talk about in deconstructing the RFP, and something we're going to talk about in creating the budget and the budget narrative to go along with that RFP and that proposal. So yes, there's a whole lot that goes into government contracting. I'm holding a masterclass on October 1st, the start of the government year, where we're going to talk about the things we should look for in this coming fiscal year. Government contracting is a lot more than answering an RFP. We should be looking out for legislations, changes in regulations that directly affect how we do business. This is the non-sexy side of government contracting. This is the business side of government contracting. This is the mature conversation that goes along with government contracting. So I've included some links in my description where I'm inviting you to some classes and to some master classes. Register. Join me in my classes where I share my compliance experience with you, where I can train you and I can teach you how to be a power partner in contracting. And I'll see you Monday morning at 8 a.m. for another edition of Morning Tidbit. Catch my podcast where I bring in some guests and I talk a little longer on some of these topics that we'll be discussing on Morning Tidbits. And have an amazing, restful weekend.